morning, League fans. Back from Manchester. It was a quick trip, a lot less than 24 hours. It's probably about 16 hours. I was there, including sleep. And this morning's episode is completely different, absolutely different. We're going to be chatting to the assistant coach at Salford, which is Krisnan Inu, of course, and whose name has come up recently in discussions about, he played for New Zealand after only one first grade game, and this is the sort of development that is now we're hoping for France with these regular tests, etc., etc., etc. But I'm not going to ask him about that at all. I'm going to ask him about Sunday's game, which also has a French flavour, because Salford are away to Catalans. So after the break, and this is part of a press conference, I'm not claiming it as I just called up Krisnan this morning for a chin wag. It's part of a press conference, but after the break, we'll be listening to Krisnan Inu. So particularly Salford fans, stay tuned. Catalans' second half fade-outs the last two games. As an opponent, can that figure in any way in your preparations? They I don't know what happens at halftime with some teams, whether they lose concentration or whatever. But can that help you in any way, knowing that that's happened the last two games, or have you got to sort of discount it?
No, you got to discount it. You never know what's going on their side of things. They might have had an off game. They might have a few injuries or less subs, or you never know. So things change every week. They might have a full squad out this week and fresh body. So that so-called dip might not be there. So you can't always prepare for a team to dip in the second half, because people turn up, they turn up.
The bottom three teams all went well last week. Does that show that inexperienced players benefit from, again, including against you? Does that show that inexperienced players benefit from a break more than sort of older, more experienced players? Because Cass, London, Hull FC, they all had strong performances last week, didn't they?
Yeah, for us, we don't have the luxury of having such a big squad. So whoever plays, it's experienced pretty much. So
Yeah.
depending on whatever team we play, obviously you say the bottom three, we played one of the bottom three on the weekend, and then the game before we played top two. So
Yeah.
things change every week, but nothing changes in the way of you're still playing the same sport. You still got to do the same thing, hold the ball as long as you can, and defend well.
You and Paul have done some work in America with your tackling academy and that. What do you make of yesterday's announcement and the fact that Super League's going to Vegas?
Yeah, we had a little chat about it today. I sent a few staff members. I think it's good for the game. I think it's good for Super League. You got two of the big hitters in Super League going over to join some big NRL teams that are going over too. I think it'll be great. Don't know how they're going to rule on it, if they're going to Super League rules or international rules or NRL rules, because it's different. So maybe we'll get something from obviously the NRL and how they do things, and the game the Super League will adapt to that.
How hard is it like for them to play a game in Vegas and for it to dribble down to what you guys, the people you meet in Florida, or when you're doing your sort of coaching thing? Like, it's a big, like to get that profile where it has an impact is hard, isn't it? So does it have an impact, or do most of the people you deal with, they're not really aware of the sport that much?
It's new grounds to them. Obviously, the defensive part, the tackling is not new. The sport is not really the thing that you try and sell. It's more the safety in defending and techniques and that type of stuff, and how to tackle and whatnot. So that's what they come for. But no, well, I hope the goal for all of rugby league, NRL, Super League is to obviously attract more eyes, and there's no biggest country than Australia when it comes to sports than America. So hopefully that ball starts rolling soon enough, and they take it on board.
It's kind of something that's in the news cycle, and I'll leave it completely to you whether you want to comment or not. But the question of what's fair game to put on a dressing room wall and to target opponents' injuries has been in the news the last 2 days through Alan Kilshaw and Nick Gregson. Have you got a view or a line where you draw when when you're targeting an opponent's injury and you're trying to G the guys up and all that sort of stuff? Where as a coach, where do you draw the line,
Well, personally for myself, there's other ways to G your team up, like you say, to prepare for a game. And being recently a player going into coaching, there's obviously different ways there's different ways and certain types of people in your team that works for them. But I don't know if that's for me. I didn't see any sense in it. I didn't think it was appropriate. And I don't know if the voices in that team was enough to say it wasn't appropriate or not. I don't know what the culture's like there. So yeah, that's all I can say on it, really.
Two of Salford's best players are the centres Tim Laffey and Nene McDonald. They didn't play against Hull FC at the weekend, and they are out again for clash with Catalans in Perpignan. The assistant coach of the Red Devils, Krisnan Inu, he was asked during today's media conference how the stand-ins were going, Chris Hankinson and also Callum Watkins, and when the injured duo might be back.
Yeah, those two you mentioned, Chris and Cal, they're exceptional athletes. So you can put them anywhere in the lineup, and they'll do a good job. And the other two boys, it's touch and go with them, depending on how quick they recover and how they're feeling, really. So we'll let them be the judge on their bodies, and obviously we'll bring them back when they're ready. Not when obviously we want them to play every week. So, but that's on them.
The former St Helens Academy prop Jamie Pye is the latest full-time signing at the Salford Community Stadium. He's 21-year-old, and he's been at the club for 8 months in its part-time capacity, playing in the reserves and under John Fieldhouse, and now he's been rewarded with a full-time contract. Here's what Krisnan Inu was able to tell us about Jamie Pye.
Jamie Pye, he's a big body. He can play. He can move. I think we're dead proud of him, and the work that our S&C staff have done with him. Big ups to Gary. He had been given a gold to work on the young man, and he's done that. And fair play to Jamie. He's I don't know if I can say he's trained his ass off. So he's done well to get himself in that position to be able to sign that contract, which I think the whole squad obviously seen that hard work, and we didn't make it easy for him. He's done well and he's earned it.
You're on rugbyleague.com. My name's Steve Mascord, and just got off a Zoom press conference with Ian Blease, the sporting director at Leeds Rhinos. They announced that Brad Arthur had been appointed as an interim coach until the end of the year. At the end of that press conference, I asked Ian Blease about Paul Rowley, who is his former coach at Salford. Paul Rowley has been widely linked to the Leeds job despite being under contract at Salford next year. I asked Ian Blease you'll hear the question, but I also asked him afterwards, just because he's under contract, does that mean he's not an option as Leeds Rhinos coach next year? I think you'll find his responses here quite interesting. And another one, if you decide your Paul Rowley is your man, is he available?
No, Paul's under contract.
Right. So he's not an option for next year.
No, he's under contract.
That doesn't mean
it wouldn't be right for me to say that if a player's a coach is under contract, I wouldn't comment on that.
But you can't say whether he's an option or not.
You're right, I can't say that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All good?
Thanks, I'll get Chef for you now.
Of course, the big question about the appointment of Parramatta's Brad Arthur as the caretaker coach at Leeds for the rest of the year is why? Why is it just until the end of the year? Why didn't Leeds make a long-term appointment? And here, the Director of Sport at Leeds, Ian Blease, he attempts to answer that question.
Because the long-term objective of securing the head coach is still ongoing. So I'm still working on that. And Brad has put his hand up to say, I can come for a short interim period. We're also available for a long period if necessary, which is a good arrangement for us as a club. And for me just to take a bit more time and do a bit more work behind the scenes on a long term. Obviously, there's rumours about him, and he's admitted to me, still NRL coach. He rates himself as an NRL coach, and that's good for him. And there'll be options for him as well, I guess, in the future. So all options are still open at this moment.
Is Brad bringing any family with him? Is he putting down any roots, or is he just coming on his own?
No, he's got some daughters who are at college at school. So his wife Michelle's going to come over maybe mid-August. So he's bringing family over, but not the entirety because they've got exams and schooling to look after as well.
And mate, these players that he said he wanted to bring with him, can you tell us anything about them? Are they NRL
Absolutely
players?
not. Yes, absolutely not. Good try though.
Okay. And
I've never revealed. And this is not intimate chat about let's do this. This was just general conversations that we're having before he boarded the plane. Really.
Here's my theory for what it's worth. I think Paul Rowley is the preferred candidate at Leeds. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if the decision to sign Ian Blease as the sporting director was also at the decision to sign Paul Rowley as coach. However, as is the case with players leaving Salford, as is perhaps the case with Blease leaving Salford, there's a fee to pay. Rich clubs have to, that's what Salford do, is they sell players, they sell perhaps staff to more wealthy clubs. And so in order to get the best price or deal for Rowley, Ian Blease has signed a coach who already has another job to go to at the Perth Bears in 2 years' time. And by that time, Paul Rowley will be off contract at at Salford. And Salford will get nothing for him. So the bargaining chip is that pay the fee we're willing to give you now for Paul Rowley, or we'll hold on to this guy as long as we can, and you'll get nothing for Paul Rowley. That might be a great Machiavellian theory. It might be 2 and 2 makes 1,000, but that's the way I see the situation. Here's what Ian Blease said when he was asked about other candidates aside from Brad Arthur for the permanent job at Leeds.
We're still having conversations with other coaches, and I've said previously there are a number of hoops to jump through and processes to go through. So I'm well on the track of doing that, but things will stay within the club at the moment for that. Yeah, I think it's not about my confidence; it's about their availability and a lot of things, as I've already said, that to go through. I think as a club we can learn a lot of Brad. He's coming in with vast experience. Chev and Scott are on their management and coaching journey, so he should be able to assist them. They'll embrace that. I think people sometimes are a tad scared of change. I quite like it, and I like to bring in the right people at the right clubs, and I think Brad's going to be that person for the temple.